and he sings that for the audience. But we're not going to do that this time.
Okay.
But we're going to tell the story. I'm going to tell it quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Don't start crying.
I know, I usually cry.
And I do too. So, we both get pretty emotional. But we were in Chicago, Illinois, playing House of Blues. It was the last, we had been in Las Vegas before that, playing the Blues Benders Festival. And that night, BB was actually sick during this time, and a lot of people didn't know it. And he had been sick for maybe about 5 years or so at that time. But he didn't want anybody to know. He made me promise and made the management promise not to tell anybody and not to make him stop playing unless he just actually could not perform at all. And this last night was the night that he could not perform. In Las Vegas, where he lived, it took 5 hours for him to come to the show that night from his house. And he lived only a few miles away from the club. But they couldn't get him to get dressed and come to the show. But eventually he came and he did a show. And we were supposed to work, this was in October. Now that was in September when we did that show. We did a couple of shows after that. And we were supposed to work until the beginning of December, take off the rest of the month of December and come back in January with a brand new show. The management had asked me to put together a new show, limiting the amount of time that BB would be on stage, so where he could just come on, do maybe 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, get off the stage and go on, and the band would carry the show before and after. So we never got an opportunity to do that. But we were in the House of Blues on October 3rd, 2014. And we were playing the House of Blues, and the hotel was on the same lot as the club. You just walked across the parking lot to the club. But that night, it took about 3 hours for them to get BB to come out of his hotel room to come to the club to perform. And the band had played and played and played and played and played everything that we knew. And finally, I got a signal that he was there. And so I introduced him. He came on the stage. He sat down in his chair. I handed him Lucille. And he waved at the audience. He spoke to him just a little bit. He started playing the intro. And then he cut the band off. And then he called out another blues. Of course, we never had a list like we have here. So we all knew the emphasis to the song, so whatever he would play, we knew that's the song he was going to do. He played the interest to the song, and we started playing. And he sang about half a chorus, and then he stopped. He picked up his guitar to play, and nothing was coming out. He was fumbling over the strings like a beginner, like he'd never played before. And he had forgotten how to play the guitar. Now, the problem was BB had dementia and Alzheimer's at the same time. And he'd had it for 5 years. He had been able to fake the audience, because he might not remember a song completely, but I was like standing right here next to him, and I would be leaning over telling him words. I'd give him just enough words to kick the song off in his head, and then he would remember the lyrics to be able to do it. Well, at that point, he got to the point that he couldn't even do that. And it was very heartbreaking. We were supposed to do a 90-minute set. We only did 60 minutes. And I was able to get him to do that. And then after 60 minutes, he spent most of the time talking to the audience, which is what he liked to do anyway. And he would tell different stories, things about his life, things he wanted you to know about music, and things that were of interest that he thought you might be interested in. Well, after that 60 minutes, he came off the stage, he shook hands, he signed a few autographs, he went behind stage to his dressing room. The band came off, I went to his dressing room to see how he was doing. I said, he was laying down on the couch. I said, "Boss, how you feeling?" He said, "I'm not feeling too good." So then I was standing over him. He said, Boogaloo. He said, you've been with me a long time. Never heard me say this. I mean, we've done shows where we've flown from Israel to Detroit, got off the airplane, and went and did 3 shows. I mean, with no break, straight from the airport to the club, do 3 shows that night. Then we went to the hotel. I mean, we were doing that lots. So energy was not a problem for him, and he loved doing that. But that night he told me, he said, Boogaloo, you've been with me a long time, and you never heard me say this. He said, but I'm done. I said, what about this? He said, I'm done. So they had the paramedics come and check him out, and they took him to the hospital, and he stayed overnight. And then the next day, he came back to the hotel. I sent the band home, flew everybody home the next morning because we weren't going to do any more shows, so we weren't going to finish the schedule. They canceled everything else for the rest of the year. And I waited at the hotel till they brought him back. His bus picked him up at the hospital, brought him to the hotel. He stayed on the bus while they came up to get his luggage. I went down to the bus and went to his lounge in the back to talk with him. And I said, well, how you feeling, boss? He said, oh, I'm tired. I said, well, I said, they're going to take you home. You're going to get some rest. He said, yeah, I'm going to rest. I said, you know, if you need me, you know, I'm only a phone call away. I'll be right there. So he said, okay. And he stood up. And one thing, if you knew BB personally, he's not an affectionate person at all. Very friendly. He'll talk to you and shake your hand. But he wasn't affectionate. He stood up and he hugged me. And he told me, he said, thank you, Boo-Boo. Thank you for being with me all these years.
Boogaloo, you forgot the part where in that Daddy's performance, when he was on stage and like you said, he played the songs over and over and over and over and did more talking than he did playing.
Yeah.
But he also collapsed on stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he got the collapse, they did take him to the back, and the ambulance was there, and they sent him home. And then after they sent him home, they canceled all his shows, My dad contacted or told the family members, or one of the family members, to contact all his children. So we all came up, well, not all of us, just a few of us, but I did. I came up to Vegas where he resigned. And I saw my dad, and I looked at him, and I said, Daddy, I see that you're getting a lot of rest now. And I know you the type that usually get up and go back out there. And he looked at me, and he said, baby, Daddy's tired. I said, you tired? He said, yes, I'm tired. So I thought my father was just tired, just tired and wanted to rest and then get back up and get back out there, not knowing that he was tired, that he wanted to just go. I didn't grab onto that. It just didn't, it didn't register. It didn't register at all. All I know is that while I was there, we had our last dinner together, he and a few other family members, and he came down the stairs so proudly, but it took him forever to come down. It took him about an hour to 2 hours just to come down, just to get dressed and come down. And when he came down, he just sat there and with his head up, proud. And I wanted to come over and hug him, but he pushed me away. And I couldn't understand. I got a little bit of offended from it, because I wanted to show my dad some affection. He would tell me he loved me, but he wouldn't let me hold him. So it kind of got to me, and I just sat there and just looked. Till later on, and after that, Daddy was at the house. I went back home. I think he was there for about a week, not a week. And I got a call and said my father passed away.
Oh, no.
And the funny thing about it is that once he passed away, I think I got in there with you guys. A little later, got in the band with you guys. And it was something that I prayed for, and it happened, but I didn't want it to happen that way.
Yeah, because he really wanted you to perform with him.
Right, right. He had heard me sing one of them songs that I did a little earlier that I said he approved of. He enjoyed those songs, he liked those songs, and he wanted me to be on stage with him. Unfortunately, I'm not on stage with my dad, but I am on stage with the B.B. King Experience.
Hey! Woo!
So we're trying to keep things going. And I want to thank a few people tonight, because we have some band members of the band that are in, they couldn't be coming. One of them, our bass player lives in Canada, and they wouldn't let him come across the border.
Oh, no.
So we have Tanya Richardson singing for him tonight.
He's all right.
And our guitar player, he lives in Chicago, and his wife is having heart surgery, so he had to stay in quarantine. He couldn't come out. She's having heart surgery on the 30th of this month. And so we have Steve Hawkins with us.
He's on stage.
So I want to give him a special thanks. Everybody else up here, we all hats at this. Oh, except for Andy. Andy's a new member of the band. Yeah, Andy!
Yeah, Andy! Woo!
So right now we're gonna move the show on. We're sorry to bring it down at this place, but now we're gonna pick it back up. We're gonna have some fun. BB passed away May 14th, May 2015.
You know what? And also, you know, Dad did say that he loved his fan. He truly loved his fan. He loved you guys. He did more with you guys than he did with his own children.
That's true.
And like I said, I'm number 15, and I barely see my father.
Oh, my Lord.
But my dad wanted to die on stage. He almost got his wish. He almost got his wish. But he stayed on the stage to please you.
That was his whole thing.
Yes.
He loved his audience. He wanted to perform for them. They were like family to him.
Yes.
But we're gonna do one of his songs. Not